Center City.
Okay, there
I
we go.
am going to talk about, I believe SLA Bieber presents at some point. So I'm going to talk specifically about SLA Center City, but at the end, when I talk about admissions, I will talk about both and about the process. So I'm going to lead with you at SLA are welcome to wear whatever shoes you want to. So that is not something that we are concerned about here. So Science Leadership Academy is based at just off of Broad and Spring Garden in Center City. So it's right off the subway line. I know for a lot of people who ask. Um, we are our school is kind of based around we're a project-based school based around 5 core values: inquiry, research, collaboration, presentation, and reflection. And the way I like to look at that is I like to think about, like, in science class when you are when you're kind of thinking about what's the problem that I have, what do I think the answer is going to be, we kind of take that approach with all of our coursework. So we really want students to create that question, to research what the thing is that they're looking into, to collaborate with their peers, to present. You're going to do a lot of presentation at SLA, and then reflect. So once you finish whatever the thing is that you're doing, it's not just over. There's reflection on kind of what could I have done differently, what went well, how did this process work for me, so that you can build on it for the future. So SLA is a project-based learning school, which means that, or I should say, that does not mean that you will never have a test. We do offer, specifically in our math classes, we do offer standards-based quizzes to see that students have, mastered different units, but most of the work that you're doing at SLA is both individual or group projects. So, for example, in our senior history classes, a big project they do is they do an enormous mock presidential election. So rather than kind of just like learning about and then taking a test about what is the process, they will actually go through the process themselves, from creating political parties to creating advertisements to having debates to voting and all of those pieces. It gets really engaging. Um, and you are going to be doing projects in pretty much every class, and they're going to kind of range in a um let's see, in an English class, for example, our freshman English classes, their project right now is a me magazine, which they always do in the beginning of the year, which they are just kind of creating literally a magazine that's all about themselves, so the teachers can get to know them, and it can incorporate anything that you want. So if you're someone who's more artistic, it can incorporate a lot more kind of hand-drawn artwork. If you're someone who's more of a writer, it can have poetry, it can have anything, that is representative of kind of you. So at SLA, in one of our kind of like core components of SLA is our advisory program. So when you come into SLA, you're put into an advisory, and you are with that advisor or advisors and about 20 other students for all 4 years that you're at the school. So like when I went to high school, we were grouped by our last name. And so I might have changed based on student enrollment, a little bit year after year. I might have a different advisor year after year. At SLA, it's designed such that that person, you kind of learn and grow with that one advisor over the 4 years that you're at SLA. We do twice a year parent advisor advisee report card conferences where we kind of talk about the progress and growth and plan for the future. And that advisor is actually the person who, when you're applying to college, which I know feels really far away, but that's the person who's writing your college counselor letter of recommendation, because they can really speak to your growth both as a student and person over 4 years. Your advisor is also kind of your go-to person and your parents' go-to person for school, anything kind of school related, anything life related. We kind of say that your advisor is like your school mom or dad. Um, I know as a parent myself, sometimes I'll go to, I'm like, I don't know who to contact at school about this thing. It's maybe not big enough to reach out to the principal. That's where the advisor steps in. So you really develop close relationships both with your advisor, but also with that group of people over the 4 years that you are at SLA. Um, you see here listed the range of coursework that we have available. The things that I always like to highlight are, we do kind of a ninth and 10th grade fused biochemistry course. So you're taking not just biology one year and chemistry the second year. We put them together so you kind of like get a more introductory base level of biochemistry in ninth grade, and then in 10th grade you are doing more advanced work. Junior year you take physics, and then you see the senior class science classes, you have different options. Also, ninth, 10th, and 11th grade are all lab sciences, so you would be doing intensive lab work there. um you kind of see what else we offer for English, history. Our senior level classes for English, history, and science are modeled after college courses. So rather than being full year courses, students have a little bit of, they're almost like electives where they can say, you know what, I'm interested in taking for half year advanced chemistry and for the other half of the year anatomy. English, we have our students, their first half of our seniors, the first half of the year, take a college writing course where they really get more introduction into intensive college level writing. And then the second half of senior year is we're kind of like transitioning into being ready for graduation. They're taking film and literature course. All ninth grade, or all students in the school district of Philadelphia are required to take African American history. So that's something that at SLA we do freshman year. Some other, obviously, you see the other courses available are all of our students will take a placement test into the math. Almost pretty much all of our freshmen are taking Algebra 1 or geometry. And then if students have no experience in Spanish, which is the language we offer, they will start at Spanish 1. If they've taken it in the past, we offer a placement test for Spanish as well. So some of our electives, they do change year by year a little bit based on the teacher's kind of interest in teaching certain things. The classes that are stay the same, so our freshman electives are going to be engineering, art, drama, and technology. And technology is kind of how to kind of approach acceptable use, how to use our specific systems at SLA, and also how to be a good digital citizen. Engineering is kind of an exposure, obviously, to engineering, and we're going to talk a little more about that later. Art is because we believe everyone should have a firm and solid base in art. And then the drama classes that our ninth graders are taking are less about the traditional drama, like here's a school play, and more about having students feel comfortable with presentation. Because as I said, that's a core value, and that's something that our students are going to be doing a lot of over the 4 years that they're at SLA. Something I always like to say is if you come to SLA, you can, for the most part, walk up to any student and talk to them about the school, about what it's like, and they're going to feel comfortable because they're so used to speaking in front of people and engaging with people. We have, you see a number of different other electives available. I always like to point out that our philosophy class is currently taught by our principal, which I think is kind of cool. And we have two CTE programs. Our CTE engineering. So CTE stands for Career and Technical Education. So what you do is you take coursework and internship hours over the time they would start your sophomore year after a successful application. And you take the coursework and you take the internship hours. And then when you graduate, you also have a certificate in engineering, and then the other one, which is digital video program. So we have students in both engineering and digital video who have gone into the fields. I have a former kind of mentee of mine who's actually working at NASA right now, which is awesome. And then we have students who are like, you know what, that was really cool that I did that engineering program. And now I'm going to go to school to, major in English. So it doesn't mean you have to do the thing. Similarly, in digital video, we have students who do enter the field. But it also is kind of neat because it gives students the opportunity to, especially in this day and age, become more comfortable with speaking in front of the camera, with editing, with filmmaking, with digital photography. And so those are things that you don't necessarily have to enter the field, and having kind of a firm grasp on those things is really helpful. So our Wednesdays at SLA are a little bit different. All of our students are dismissed at 12:50. And our freshmen take mini courses at school. And so those, similar to electives, they vary a little bit year by year based on availability, but here are some that we have kind of traditionally had in the past. You take courses that are outside of your typical kind of academic spectrum, and you are doing them in 6 or 8 week cycles. And then our sophomores and juniors go out into the community and do internships. So our engineering and digital video CTE students, they have to take them in their field, and we work with them in getting placements in their field. But otherwise, students can kind of do whatever they want. I've had students who've gone back to their old middle schools, students who have worked in law offices, veterinarian offices, students who have worked with, I have a student right now working with a council person, Kendra Brooks. So it really kind of ranges on what they're doing. We have a partnership with Braskem, which is an engineering firm which works with a lot of our engineering ILPs, and they also sponsor some of our senior capstone programs. So which is the thing that seniors do is they work on it's kind of like a much larger senior project. So they have that time to work on their senior capstones, which then they present at the end of the year. So life at SLA, I always like to, so I'm someone who went to a Philadelphia high school, and I firmly believe that there's a good high school for everyone, a good fit. So SLA may be the best fit for you, or it may not be, and that's okay. So SLA is kind of a quirky, unique place. We are a school that is not as traditional as some of the other schools. Our principal, assistant principal, and I myself, the counselor, we have open door policies. Students often just eat lunch in our offices. You don't have to eat lunch in the cafeteria. Students are just kind of have a little bit more independence and responsibility that we give you. And you are, you never know kind of what you're going to be walking into. We have a downstairs when you walk into our front through our front door. A lot of our students hang out in what we call the commons, which is kind of like modeled after a college like commons area that is just, comfortable furniture, chairs, high top tables. So it's a little less like traditional school looking. Sports at SLA, we through our own school and through partnership with Ben Franklin High School and some other high schools, pretty much offer our students the availability to participate in any sport that they like. I'm here also to answer questions about sports because I also happen to be the athletic director at SLA. We are a small school, so many of us wear many different hats. It's kind of like I talk about, if you're looking for the large traditional school that has a million courses, that has, the football games on Friday nights, that has advanced placement courses, all those things, SLA is not it. And that's okay if that's what you're looking for. SLA is a school where if you want to fly under the radar, you can't, because everyone's going to know who you are. You're going to have your advisor looking out for you. You're going to have the principal knowing your name. Here are some clubs that we have available at SLA. And something that we always tell students is if you are really interested in something and we don't have a club for it, as long as you have a faculty sponsor, you can go ahead and start it. The Reproductive Rights Club started just this, I think at the end of last year it was. We're starting up, I think it's like a sewing club as well this year. So kind of ebbs and flows depending on student interest. Admissions. We have an open house coming up. This is all listed on both of our websites. So SLA open house coming up, SLA Center City the 18th, Bieber on Saturday the 21st. So admissions requirements. All students must apply through the portal, non-negotiable. If you don't apply through the portal, we cannot consider you for admissions. You see the admissions requirements specifically that we're looking for. Counselors who are familiar with us, this changes a little bit our project-based presentation. Eligible students, so students who meet all of the eligibility requirements, will be contacted by us to schedule a project-based presentation. That means it's really important that when the families apply through the portal, they use a email address or other contact that is good, and they're going to be checking. So the other non-negotiable for us is successful completion of the project-based presentation. Students who do not complete a presentation will not be considered. If you have straight A's, perfect attendance, did amazing on your PSSAs, if we reach out to you and you either no-show your presentation, if you don't schedule it, any of that, we cannot consider you for admission. That is really, really important. So that is actually admissions questions email, admissions@scienceleadership.org. Counselors know how to get in touch with me. But I really like to leave time for questions. I feel like I kind of whipped through that, but any questions from folks?